Dominaria United is the first draft format in years where you can reliably play more than 3 colors and increase your win rate. We're going to review how you can win drafting 4 to 5 colors, and we're starting right now. It's rare to have a draft format where playing more than 3 colors is viable for your win rate. Don't believe me? Let's take a look at the data from 17 lands. But first, I want to remind everyone to jam the like button like you're attacking all out with a mono-red aggro deck and help me with the YouTube algorithm. And to say thanks for liking, here's a picture of an adorable AI-generated Mox Orc head. Now on to the data. This data was compiled by Sir Kovitz on mtgazone.com, and all analytics credit goes to them. It's my job as a content creator to take their analysis and transform it into what it means for you as a player. Since at least Adventures of the Forgotten Realms, only the last 2 draft formats had anything more than about half the decks being more than strictly 2 colors. It wasn't until the last set, Streets of New Capenna, that we had more than half the decks being 3 colors or more. In all 17 lands analysis, decks having 1 to 3 spells of a color means the color is a splash, and having more means it's the main color. Dominaria United sits in an interesting spot with about 40% of the decks being 3 color. There are a lot of good 2 color, 3 color, and what's especially unique is having more than twice the number of 4 to 5 color decks than any set before it. Now, I think you need to still find a good reason to be 3 colors or more. Here we see the incremental win rate percentage of each set going from fewest 2 colors at the left through to most 5 colors on the right. In almost every case, the win rate declines as you add more colors. Even for the sets that are less 2 color dominant, this pattern remains. As you can see, the set that least follows this trend is Dominaria United. It still indicates you need a good reason to play more colors, and people start jumping into additional colors perhaps too often. But if you're on the other end of the spectrum like me, and you tend to lean against playing more colors a little too strongly in the name of consistency, Dominaria United is a great set to get practice on branching out to more colors. While I am known to occasionally stretch into 4 or 5 colors, I would say by far my tendency is to stick to 2 with maybe 1 splash. I'll also say, while I feel I've had pretty good judgment of cards during my set review, see the video up above for card evaluation, I wish I had looked at the common dual lands first to know what mana tools were available in the set. I would have given a higher grade to the domain cards, but drafting 4 to 5 color decks is definitely a skill set and one that I feel capable of, if not extremely practiced in it. Now let's talk about how you branch into more colors, and then we'll show a draft where I go from drafting green-red aggro, which is the latest draft strategy we reviewed in the video up above, to switching mid-draft to 5 color and what caused me to make the switch. First, besides the red-green aggro deck, green is all about fixing your mana and paying you off for fixing with domain. So if green is open and you aren't specifically trying for the red-green aggro deck, you should probably be building a domain deck. Domain decks prioritize the Weatherseed Treaty, which is such a good card based on its versatility. On turn 3, it fetches a land, puts it onto the battlefield tapped, both fixing you and ramping you up later. Later in the game, it comes down and gives a creature +5/+5 in trample, which could be your finisher. Domain decks also prioritize Floriferous Finewall. 2 mana for a body that effectively draws you land of your choice works in the context of domain, and when the payoff for expanding into more colors can be considerable. What I do want to warn against is other fixers that don't advance the board early or have too little impact when drawn late in the game. I'm not a big fan of Slimefoot's Survey. The ramp happens a bit too late in the game at 5 mana. I'm not saying it's unplayable, but you really want a payoff for doing it, something like Tatiova. I'm also not a big fan of Scout the Wilderness. Yes, it does the same thing as the Weatherseed Treaty on turn 3, but later in the game it only gets you 2 1/1s, which is not that impactful late in the game, unless you really are going big on the go-wide strategy. And it costs 2 more to play for that benefit. I'll be more willing to play these than Slimefoot's Survey if I don't have at least a couple of cards among the Weatherseed Treaty and Floriferous Finewall to fix my mana, but otherwise I'm looking to avoid them. I'm also not a huge fan of Meteorite or Relic of Legends. Meteorite had a similar problem to Slimefoot's Survey at 5 mana, and Relic of Legends, while fixing your mana, doesn't further domain at all. On the note of furthering domain, the common dual lands are actually better than the rare pain lands for limited, precisely because they further domain. I'm not saying don't play the pain lands, they will help fixing, I'm just saying I'm taking the common lands over the rare ones. I still do believe people take the lands too highly. I'm not taking them in my first few picks. I want to know I'm in one of the colors I'm taking before I take land, or know that I'm in green and then I'm happy to pick up any land. Also, I prefer to pick the non-green lands once I know I'm in a domain deck, because I'd rather play a lot of untapped forests as a main color to play my green mana fixing first. Then I'll get the additional colors from that fixing. Now let's go through a draft where I get into a 5-color deck. You'll see how I pivot from green-red aggro into domain as I notice the keys to the aggro deck are being cut from my seat. Pack 1, pick 1, I pick up the Weatherseed Treaty. This is just the strongest card in this pack. Cut Down is also good. Tori Diavenant is good but overrated. Sunbathing Rootwalla is good but not as good as Weatherseed Treaty. Tribute to Urborg, the same thing. And again, I'm not picking up the dual lands first. So Weatherseed Treaty, I think, is pretty safe to be just a clear first pick. And we move on. Up next, while I do say to take the removal first, there is no just straight up removal other than Tribute to Urborg in this deck, and I would be fine picking Tribute to Urborg, except Electrostatic Infantry is one of the strongest creatures in the set, and I'm going to be taking that here, especially since it goes so well with the green-red aggro deck, and also Weatherseed Treaty sets me up well for the finisher of the +X+X for the green-red aggro deck, so I'm kind of going down this green-red aggro deck, and I pick up Electrostatic Infantry, which is pretty clear pick here. Up next, I do take the removal of Tear Asunder. It also looks just like the best card in this pack here. It does indicate that, you know, I'm going down the green-black path, which is a perfectly fine deck to be picking up. But remember, green cards are really likely to splash, and splashing black for this is not a problem at all. It is nice to have the backup to exile a target artifact or enchantment just for 1 to green, but really I'm looking to play this to exile any permanent by kicking it. Up next, I take the green removal. It's clear that green is coming around to me at this point, so I'm pretty confident of being green. I'm just trying to figure out my second color from there. No clear signals on a second color yet, but I pick up Bite Down. And now I'm starting to go into the green-red aggro deck. There is not any major callouts on the best cards here. Flowstone Infusion would be my next pick other than that because it is a removal. But again, that is the removal that I pick kind of least priority because it only hits less than 50% of the creatures in the set. It's not bad, but I did pick up Viashino Branch Rider here as one of the best early drops for the green-red aggro deck. Again, looks like I'm heading down this path, which is really good in green-red aggro if you didn't see the video before, because it comes down on turn 1 when you want it, and again, usually that's not worth a card in Limited, but this green-red aggro deck can beat down fast. If I pick up a lot of Colossal Growths or Gaia's Mites, I could really make this small creature big quickly and just really beat them down fast. Up next, we see a couple of good cards. Get to Amplifier and Sunbathing Rootwalla are 2 of the better 2-drops in the green-red aggro deck. I do think Sunbathing Rootwalla is better in the green-red aggro and just a better creature in general. The only deck I would pick Get to Amplifier over it would be in red-white or more preferably red-blue. Coalition Warbrute's also okay, but it's not as good as getting a really good 2-drop. And so we pick up Sunbathing Rootwalla, and we look like we're heading down a really good path to pick up green-red aggro. My only fear at this point is we have yet to see a Colossal Growth, and Colossal Growth is key to that deck. Same with Gaia's Might, we have not seen one yet. So it's starting to feel to me like usually we would have seen that card by now. They're both commons. They're probably getting cut from our seat. We're just seeing the rest of the green-red aggro deck. So if we do not get Colossal Growths or Gaia's Mites, and they're being cut close to us, we may have to switch to a different strategy, which again, green does very well. And sure enough, it was right about that time that I made the switch, it looks like. I guess I would pick up Haunted Mire no matter what here. Again, while I do say people overrate picking the lands, you do still want to pick them up early. It is much better than a Llanowar Stalker here, but in the green-red aggro deck, I may just typically pick up a Llanowar Stalker, but it's clearly going to be Haunted Mire here, especially that I already have a Tear Asunder where I want black, so I pick up the Haunted Mire. And here I go into the Viashino Branch Rider again because nothing else is really calling out. Timely Interference is one of the best cards here, along with the Tura, but I'm too far away from going into white and blue, so I pick up the Branch Rider. It's better than Llanowar Stalker. Alright, we finally see a Gaia's Might, so maybe I still have hope to go down this path. We also see Molten Monstrosity, which is good in that deck as well, but I want to be picking up my Gaia's Might and my Colossal Growths before I'm picking up my Molten Monstrosity, because I can't play enough Gaia's Might and Colossal Growths, and I definitely can get too many Molten Monstrosities. I only want like 2. So I pick up the Gaia's Might happily here, and I'm willing to play that in a lot of decks. Same with Colossal Growth. It's just, I'm a little scared that I'm not seeing many of those yet. And I have yet to see a Colossal Growth, which is the main card that I need. So, it makes me skeptical that I'm going to go green-red. Aggro purely. I'm shifting more into considering going Domain. We do see a Twinferno, which is good for this. Again, I'm kind of leaning towards Domain. I'm not committed to red yet. I have seen a bunch of good red cards though, so I am leaning towards green-red base and Domain second. But Twinferno and Furious Bellow, both are good picks here. I do think Twinferno is just better. It's great when you can give something Double Strike or copy an instant or sorcery spell. You got more options with Twinferno, so I picked that up. Then I get my Furious Bellow. Then I get another dual land, and now I get a late Flowstone Infusion, and a Thrill of Possibility. I will definitely play Thrill of Possibilities in these decks to try to get card draw out of red. It definitely helps when you flood later on in the game to ditch a land and pick up a couple cards. Alright, we pick up something interesting here. Sinks the Clear Skies is a bomb in Pack 2. The question here is, do we divert path and take the bomb, or do we pick up something else, like a Radha or a Foliferous Vine Wall? Actually would be a more likely pick for me to pick up here than Radha. That looks to be it. There are a decent amount of good cards in this pack, but other than pulling me off of my current strategy, the only one that pulls me off of current strategy is Sphinx. Now, I do pick the Sphinx because I am, again, I was thinking of going down the Domain path, and this pretty much locks me into the Domain path. So the good option of when you are picking up mana fixing and lands, I've already picked up a couple lands, and I picked up my Weatherseed Treaty, is I can start putting in really powerful cards from other colors. That's the advantage that I get. And this one is double blue. That does give me some pause. But if I pick up enough fixing down the line, I can play this reliably, and it's a good enough card for me to speculate on that. So I'm going to pick this up trying to make blue another color of mine. Not a primary color, but a color that I fetch up a lot of. So I continue down into draft. Here we see nothing really that I would pick on up in my base green-red. And since I'm trying to go into other colors anyway with Domain, I'm going to happily pick up another land at this point. Here, I do see Czar. I'm not extremely happy with this card because it is in white. I did just pick up a white land. I do think he's a bit overrated. It is best in a Domain deck, which I will have, and I would consider playing him if I get enough white sources, so I do speculate on him. It is better a bit than my next highest pick, which would be Gaia's Might, but this might be the closest pick I have in the whole draft of picking up Gaia's Might. Maybe I should have went that route, but if I can pick up enough white, I will play Czar, and it'll be more powerful than Gaia's Might. So I picked that up here. We'll see if I get enough white. And then as I go on down, the best card in this pack is the best blue common in the set. I do now think Tolarian Geyser is better than Talus Lookout. Don't get me wrong, I love Talus Lookout, but Tolarian Geyser is... I think in our upcoming video, we'll go over how commons have changed over time in pick order. Like, we can actually see what people picked it at early in the set, and then later on they went higher up. And Tolarian Geyser, I think, is the highest increasing common, and it just makes sense. Something that you can pay 3 mana on to bounce their creature, get tempo, so you remove a blocker. You basically make your opponent waste a turn, right? Like, you want to be bouncing their expensive stuff. So whatever they played last turn that's expensive, you bounce that, you just undid a whole turn of theirs. And you draw a card in replacement for that, and you have the option, if you splash to gain 3 life. It's a really powerful card. It doesn't look that way because it's not pure removal, but this is a tempo set, and making them waste a turn is huge. Because I already determined I'm going to try to heavily lead into blue to try to play my Sphinx of the Clear Skies, that's enough for me to say, let's pick up the best blue common in the set that's coming around, and hopefully I can get more blue sources coming up and prioritize those. Again, I'm not looking at Slimefoot's Survey here at all. Scout the Wilderness was an option, but I'm not prioritizing it. Those are really all the other picks other than the land, but Tolarian Geyser works for me. Look at that. We pick up... So this is interesting. Floriferous Vine Wall versus Tangled Islet. That would be my next pick. But I'd rather have the green board presence. Again, this is one of the best fixers next to the Weatherseed Treaty, where I can get any land I want. I'd rather do that than force me to get a land that is a certain color. So while I want both, and I will be picking up lands heavily, Floriferous Vine Wall is like a top card to be picking up right now. I picked that up. Again, I'm not a huge fan of Scout the Wilderness, so I speculate here on the best common in the selection here in Tribute to Urborg, since I know I want to be going to black anyway. So I pick up Tribute to Urborg, and I might play that. Here, we don't have really any good picks. I pick up Founding the Third Path, just because I think it's the most powerful card here. Since I'm already looking to double splash, or to play blue and have it double pipped for my Sphinx of the Clear Skies, I'm not really looking at another double color, so I'm not looking at Sungear Connoisseur, and so I just pick up Founding a Third Path, probably not going to play it. I do now get a Colossal Growth. I'm still base red-green, and my strategy is still somewhat beat down. I'm confident at this point I'm not going to be past it like it's completely open. People are catching on a bit to this strategy. I do think it still usually is open. I just feel like the table that I was at had to have been picking up these Colossal Growths. I would have seen several by now in this seed, if not. So I pick up the Colossal Growth. I did consider picking up Tolarian Geyser, but when it's between those two, I will lean into my base color and try not to pick up too many of my splashes. Again, even when I'm playing 5 colors, I really want to be like base 2 colors with 3 different splashes, right? Like 3 splashes, a lot of splashes. Mana fixing can set you up for it. But if I had to pick, I think Tolarian Geyser is a stronger card overall, but Colossal Growth fits well into what I'm trying to do and is my main colors. So I will pick that to be more consistent. Radha came around. I went ahead and picked it up. Again, I'm not trying for my weaker 1 mana as much anymore, given I haven't been able to pick up a ton of tricks. Radha is a good card that I will play here. Yavimaya Steel Crusher would have been okay. Collision Warbird would have been okay, but Radha is just more powerful, especially given that I am a domain deck. That really helps the ability here. I pick up what I would consider kind of a random 3-drop just to fill it out in case I need to. I might not play it. I might. It has Enlist, Ward 2. All right. Next, I pick up Goblin Picker. So Goblin Picker is another card that I would imagine the pick order of that has gone up over time a bit. Not that it's like a stellar card, but it's a serviceable 2/2 for 2, which sometimes you just need to fill up your 2-drop slot. But it also has a common theme that makes cards good is if you get them early, they're good because they are just a standard what you need, a 2/2 for 2. If you get them late, when they're also good when you get them late, it makes a card really good because this, again, is filling out the consistency of your deck. And Goblin Picker is still good late because when you play it, you can use the ability of discard a land, draw a card. It's discard a card, draw a card, which is better. But this way you can dig through your deck and get the cards you really need after you've ran out of steam. So I like Goblin Picker quite a bit, and I'll play it. In here, Leaf Crown Visionary is not really a card for limited. I'm too far away from the black-white stuff and don't want to splash that much into my 2 least strong colors. And Yavimaya Sojourner can sometimes be a reliable, like, 4-mana, 4/6. So I might possibly play it. It's not reliable enough to make me like really want to play it strongly, but I might, and the other 2 I won't. So I pick it up. Snare Spinner to fill out a 2-drop slot, even though I don't really like it that much and I'm not going to play it. And same thing, got a Yavimaya Sojourner. So up next, We look through the pack. There's a few good options. There is Sunbathing Rootwalla. There's Lightning Strike. There's Thrill Possibility. Sunlit Marsh. Crystal Grotto. Nothing else really stands out to me as something powerful enough to pull me into one of my not main colors. And I do prioritize the removal Lightning Strike. I think is a pretty clear pick here. Here, there's, Elvis Hydromancer would not have been a bad pick. So that would be an option. Get to Amplifier would not be a bad pick. Viashino Branchwider I don't think compares to those two. I pick up the land. I know I want more fixing at this point. I've only picked up a couple of lands at this point. And I know black will be a splash for my Terra Sunder. So, and red is one of my main colors, so I picked that up. I'm pretty happy with that. Elvish Hydromancer would be a close call otherwise, but it's expensive to do the thing. And I'm not looking to play that many more expensive cards given I already have like a bomb in my 5-drop slot and things like that. Here, I do pick up the, medium expensive card with Mirror's Outrider. It's great with Domain. Again, this just pings them for 5, 4, something like that a lot of the time. And still is a 4/4 reach for 5. It's a good card. If you're not picking this medium highly, you should probably be picking it higher. White is clearly the color that I'm least interested in splashing, so I don't care as much about the Sunlit Marsh. Not much else to say in this pack. Phoenix Chick I'm not overly impressed by. Deathwind Gardener, same. Here, I just pick up a Flowstone Kavu. It's a fine, serviceable 3-drop I usually play. That's about all there is to say here. I'm leaning heavily into blue, so I want to pick up blue lands wherever I can. There is a Mary's Outrider, but I'm not going to pick that up over being able to play my really good blue cards. I don't like how 17 Lands classifies this as likely sideboard. It doesn't realize what I'm trying to do with my lands. But yeah, I'm going to be playing my blue, and I want that card. Here, I pick up Urborg Repossession. This will probably be my splash black card as well. I need some card draw. All I had is Thrill of Possibilities. Urborg Repossession is one of the best card draw spells in the set. And given I want to play black anyway, I will play this card. This is perhaps the top black common, this and Tribute to Urborg, depending on what you want to do. So I picked that up. Nothing else really in consideration here. Magna Goth Sentry is a fine body, which is efficient, but I'm still not overly impressed with that card. I usually don't play it. I find better things to play. Here, Get to Amplifier as one of the best 2-drops. That's it. Again, I'm trying to kind of avoid Scout the Wilderness when I can. I do pick one up here because there's nothing else I want, so if I come short on mana fixing, I will pick this up, but I do have a Floriferous Fine Wall and a Weatherseed Treaty with a good amount of lands, which I think at this point is enough for me. So this is just kind of a, just in case I feel like I need more because I pick up something crazy, but we're already pack 3, pick 9, so probably not. I will pick up Crystal Grotto. I don't like playing Scout the Wilderness, but I'll play a land that helps me. Scry 1 is nice, but also gets me into my splashes and stuff, so pick up Crystal Grotto and I'll definitely play it. Bog Badger, just because Bone Splinters isn't really great enough for a splash, and this is just to round out my 3-drop slot, and I might be able to use the kicker, but I might not play this card. I just picked a card here. Nothing to say, nothing to say, nothing to say, and nothing to say. So that's our draft. I hope it became clear on the approach of drafting 2 colors and knowing when you can switch into playing a 4 to 5 color deck because you pick up the right fixing and you have the incentives of the payoffs to get it. I do think you'll often be led into the 5-color deck when you realize an initial strategy with green is not going to work out, or that you pick up a strong enough bomb in pack 2 that you want to move into the Domain deck. It is probably too late to be switching into the Domain deck come pack 3 when you pick up a bomb, so I think it's usually pack 2 that you will determine it. But definitely, as you saw in the stats, playing 4 to 5 colors, even playing 3 colors as main colors with more than a splash is very viable in this set. And I do think if you are not getting into this a good portion of the time, say a quarter of the time or more, you're probably doing it too little, and you should expand into playing more colors with this set. And this was my final deck. As you can see, I have blue in there, I splash black. I actually have a little bit of white as well in the kicker for Tolarian Geyser, but more so I'm playing my Sacred Peaks just to hit more domain to help with all that. It is worth playing off-color cards that help domain as long as one of the colors are used within your deck. So I added those in. I did not go heavy on white, like I didn't end up playing my Tsar, but this deck ended up going 6-3, so it did not trophy, but I will say it was one game away from trophying, and when I did lose, I lost all 3 of my games to top 100 Mythic players, so I just had tough games against them, and they all went close. So this very easily could have been a trophy deck, and I do highly recommend getting into more colors in the set, as I said. Thanks again, see you next time, bye-bye.